PTSD Talk TV.
You are now watching PTSD Talk TV. Thank you for tuning in.
This is going to be our introduction to your future autobiography. I'll just give the details to everybody. So I want to introduce this wonderful lady. Trying to develop an audio book, if you will, of her legacy and her history. Somebody that's not ashamed of life, somebody that's not ashamed of her age, her journey. One of the things we want to make sure we do is just have you all understand that the name of the autobiography, if you will, is just a memoirs. It's Memoirs of the Elder. We're going to be telling the history of her story. So that's kind of like our motto for this, the history of her story. How are you doing today, love? How are you today?
I am highly favored and I'm blessed.
Okay, wonderful. That's always good news. So I am your host, Dilla, and this is something totally separate for those people that don't know me. I just want to make sure that y'all know that we respect our elders. Anybody that tunes in to like Neely Fuller's or Dr. Welsing or anybody like that, any great teachers, you know, this is something for everybody out here to learn. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and be prepared to learn and understand. And if nothing else, hopefully you get respect for your elders, because a lot of young people are not making it to this age. So first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself. You can be as raw as you want and be as comfortable as you want. Your name, your age, where you're from, just the generals, and just so they can get a bit of information.
Okay, well, first of all, my name is Cynthia Montgomery. I had two brothers. One committed suicide, they say, and I was born and raised in Chicago, in that town, man. You know they call it Chi-Town. I gave birth to 7 children, but I actually had 9 children, 2 miscarriages. My mother was Orally Jeffries, and my father was Melvin Irving. My father was heroin addict. My mother was sickly, you know, but she was a wonderful, wonderful mom. And my dad, even though he was a heroin addict, my dad taught me how to respect, and my mom too. And my dad, he talked to me about different things of, you know, this world.
Okay, so if you don't mind us asking, how old are you?
I'm 74. I'll be 75 next month. Thank God. He took me here all this time. Ooh, I'm so happy. I'm blessed.
Right, and to be able to survive the Chicago history, I know we mentioned the other day before we started this interview, you mentioned you wanted to kick it off with family and friends. So I'm going to go through some questions that we've adopted from some accredited educational sources. So one of the questions I want to ask first is a little bit about your history. What were your parents and your grandparents? You said you told us your mother was Orly and your father was Melvin Irving. What was your grandparents' names?
Oh, Willie Mae Morris and Eugene Morris. We had restaurants all our life. They were real good cooks, and we had restaurants. I remember those, so beautiful. And it was like a little, 18th and Wabash in Chicago. It stretched in the perimeter, like from Prairie to Michigan, and then from 22nd to 11th Street. It was just like a little private town. And we had restaurants, and I lived in different places, but I really grew up mostly on 18th to Wabash. But every nationality of people, and it was like family, everybody. With no racism that I knew of. I never knew about this, but everybody called my grandma Mom, and Pop, and my Mama. It was just beautiful.
Okay, so when you was coming up, what were the occupations of your parents?
Father, he worked in like the stockyard, And my mom, she always worked with the restaurant with my grandma and granddad and my aunties. The family worked in the restaurant. They even wanted me to work in it. I worked in it, but I hated to be a waitress, so I would just do other things. But, you know, it wasn't like it was when I started, you know, going out into the world. You know, I started seeing racism, and until I got older and teenager, that's when all the gangs hit. That's when the Blackstone Rangers and all that, that's when all that stuff started happening. But it wasn't like the gangs of today. They respected elders, they made you go to school. I mean, it was just like a family again.
Right.
You know, it wasn't all that killing and carrying on. Like nowadays, they don't know what they're doing.
Right. It was a gang for united fronts to create little family structures throughout the community.
Right.
Now I talked to one of your other close relatives, Mr. Alvin, and he explained to me that coming up during that time. So what year were you coming up? What year were you born?
1947.
Okay, so you were coming up in the 40s. So your parents came up. Do you remember your mom and your dad's birthday and the year?
Ma'am, sure don't.
Okay, yeah, it's been a while. Just wondering, because I was wondering if they were born in like maybe 1915, type of stuff.
I know
right?
my mom was born in 27, and my dad, he was born about 29. But I can't really tell you their birthdays. But
Okay.
it was about a trauma causing me to forget things,
Right. That's why this is going to be covered under the PTSD agenda. People talk about post-traumatic stress, and you don't have to be a war veteran in the military. You could be a war veteran of your environment with a military mind, and it takes a military mind to survive these environments, So,
yes, ma'am.
So going back to your grandparents, do you remember them having any behaviors like, based upon the year of the grandparent structure, more than likely they came through the Great Migration, right, from the South to the North, or if you will.
Texas, Chicago.
Okay, so they came from Texas. Okay.
And my dad came from New Orleans.
Okay. So they came from the South. Okay, and then they So do you know? I was going to say, do you know, besides maybe the transitions in slavery, do you know what brought your family to Chicago?
I know my granddad. Now my grandma, she was just she was a beautiful woman, but she was like gangster style because, she always carried a little gun in her pocket. And my granddad, he was really, really angry. And he hated white people with a passion. And he would tell us all about how they did us and how he did his mother and why they had to relocate. He tried to start a restaurant and whatever down there in the South, but, it didn't work, so he had to come to the city. But I remember my granddad, we were terrified of him until we found out he was just angry about the slavery and all they do to black people.
Right.
And, sometimes he gets so angry, he'll tear his pockets off and whatever. I mean, it really traumatized my granddad more so than my grandma. But she was like a quiet, mental, person, that went through the mental thing of the slavery and whatever. They didn't talk too much about it, but you could tell by their action they were really, really hurt and the pain, the memory, of what they went through and what their parents went through and whatever, it just traumatized them.
Right. So when you were coming up, as far as your grandparents, as far as your parents is concerned, in that generation, how many children were there? Do you know? I know you had lots of cousins, right, and stuff like that.
Oh, my goodness, man. We had, families, it was families then. Now, the way they did, and it's no disrespect, but it's just truth. It's truth. The way the white people have ruled and everything, they have separated the blacks and people of color, but it's not really like they just continue to say everybody involved, the Spanish, but only two nationalities that they have really, really, really abused, whereas the black man that's here in the United States and the original native, who they call Indians, on their land, those are two that they just keep their foot on their neck constantly.
Right. So when you were talking about all the children that came before you, right, because your mother and your father were children at some point, right? So how many did your mother have any siblings, or your dad, uncles?
She had 2 sisters and 1 brother. And my uncle Eugene Morris, he's very, very well known. He's something like a well-off person. And my auntie, Aunt Mary and Aunt Doris, but they all passed. Everybody passed except my uncle. He's still alive. And then my dad, he had brothers, Uncle June, and I remember them with so much love, but he passed. I mean, mostly all my elders are gone. That's why it's so sad the way people, the younger generation, they don't know the gift they have when they have an elder around, man. You can learn. So I used to sit at their feet all the time.
Oh, they don't have to now because Alexa's going to teach them, and they say, Google, tell me about some family legacy stuff. Like, okay.
Oh my God.
That's how it is these days.
That's sad.
So generally speaking, what was your childhood like compared to what your childhood was like and what you seeing today, being an elder and being your age? What was your childhood like that you could say was nothing like today? What was something that was really distinguishable? Respect,
love, honor. Everybody knew their place.
Loyalty.
When you could talk back to your elders, it was just so much love. And it was peace. I could say the real thing I could say is peace. Even though they went through the trauma with the slavery and whatever, they still had a strong bond for family.
Right.
But now they laughing about it, but you reap what you sow. They destroyed the black family. And, even original natives, they still have their language and they have their customs and their heritage. They have all that. And it hurts me so deeply because the black man in America, we don't even know we know we come from Africa, but we don't know our tribe. We don't know where we came from. We don't know our language. We don't know nothing. They write everything from us. That's why not to hate, but God hates too.
Right.
So they can't say I'm wrong, but God hates, and I really hate it.
Right.
And I hate the people who did it.
Right. I understand. Overstood. So if you can remember, give me like 1 or 2 quick stories about that you remember the most. What was the most prolific in your childhood? From your earliest memory that you could remember, maybe 1 or 2 good examples of what, like that's something that really, out of all the memories you could have as a black child growing up in Chicago, parents and grandparents migrated from slavery. What can you say was very prolific to you that you remember?
Or something positive.
I mean, either or. It could be traumatic. It's up to you. I want you to just speak whatever comes to mind. So
Well, what I remember, it was like going to different, like we had Spanish people, we had white people, we had, every nationality. I'm not lying, in that area. And we would all go to each other's house and have dinner. It was like a big family. That's the most beautiful thing to me that I remember in my lifetime. And it's just like like they say, a village to raise a child. Even the white people would spank us, and the Chinese people, we would take everybody.
Right.
It was just like a big old family. But now, you can't even say nothing to a child. The parents, if the child be disrespectful, you say something, the parent want to cut your throat and all that. It's like a mini hell to me.
Right.
At this time.
Right.
And the most horrific thing that happened, was the killings and, far as the games when they turn cold. I say turn 365 degrees when they start turning, the Blackstone Rangers and all that, and then they killing each other. And I remember seeing dead bodies a lot and people, they throat cut. And it's so many things. It's not just one thing that I can name. It's so many horrific things, more so than the good things.
Okay, I understood. Do you think that was because of the racism, or you think that was what do you think that made it? Y'all parents already come from a traumatic environment, and slavery, when you think of slavery, people may think of limited a limited amount of different types of torture, but it's really unlimited. If you could think of maybe, something crazy like sticking a needle in your pee-pee hole. I mean, something like that. It could get crazy. It could be the littlest thing. So what do you think made all that crime?
An old wise man, I'm not going to mention names, but an old wise man told me, and I still talk to him, and he's well known. He told me, he said, anything, Cynthia, anything that happens that's out of pocket and out of whack and all this evil stuff that's going around, he said, blame the white man. And I said, what you mean? He said, no, just blame the white man. Because everything that happened, because I say that because every last one of them are suspected racists. We don't have control, so it's really not our fault. But if we had control, maybe it'd be a different way. But right now, you got to blame them. And that's what I blame. I'm not angry at people that I don't know, but I always have a caution of every white person that I see. I'm not going to disrespect them or treat them wrong. That's not the nature of a black person. I'm going to respect them as long as they respect me. I'm going to talk to them right. I'm going to talk to them intelligent. I expect the same from them. But as soon as they show the racism, I ask most people, I said, if you're racist, just let me know. It's not hurt. We used to that, so just let me know.
Right. I'd rather ask you boldly, and if you're real, just speak the truth,
Yeah, I said, but most likely they not. I said, most likely you probably won't because y'all still don't want to lie. But anyway, as long as you treat me cool, I'm going to treat you cool, okay? But I'm telling you, I'm warning you. If I see it anyway, I'm going to come out and I'm going to tell you. It's going to be a different story.
So on that note,
if you don't like me, just leave me alone.
So on that note, we're going to take a quick short intermission. We'll be right back. This is the Memoirs of the Elder. For the sake of this platform, we prefer that everybody address her as Oshun. That's her preference. But this is the history. We were telling her story, the history of her story. So we'll be back. We're going to take a short intermission. And thank you all again for tuning in.
PTSD Talk TV.
You are now watching PTSD Talk TV. Thank you for tuning in.
I don't want you to be sad.
Heavenly Father, God,
I want you to be happy.
This morning and yes, my words, my heart, my tongue, my spirit, okay, my soul. Tell them, lay low. You got a what? I'm trying to breathe up in the booth. Yeah. Low music movement. So now, yes. Let your mind vibe out. Yeah. It's alright. It's okay. It's alright now. Yeah. It's alright, that's what I tell myself. Pushing hard, being careful not to sell myself. All while selling myself. Man, it get complicated, but I woke up out my sleep today, that's motivation. Grew up with nothing, nowadays I'm blessed. Past life tests, always come out 100, no retest, then next test. Living decent been my lifestyle, but nobody around, showing nothing or teaching how I watch others. Now I'm a mother, my childhood over. Don't ever matter if in my way gets ran over, but I still can use guidance, some finance in these hands. Homelands a wasteland, executing escape plans. I ain't perfect and I know it, but I got this and I'm focused. Rest of y'all playing, too busy slow poking. I make music to inspire, to get them higher and want more for themselves, or at least want it for someone else. But I'm standing on the edge, trying to let this pain go before I fall. Trying to release the load. It's too heavy, got me moving slow. I was never ready for this. So when the morning sun comes, remind yourself you're someone. Cause no matter where we from, problems weigh tons. May judge me with broken mirrors when they got no clearer picture. So everything I do, I just do it with good intentions. Can't worry about who comprehending my mission. Couple screws missing, mine gon' love, gon' trust none. Hold on, it's just me and my Duchess. Now I'm an elevated Duchess. Sustain heavy injuries, no crutches, I never had none. Pushing tenacious as life getting ferocious. I'm all about today, every day live by the motto. But still planning out for tomorrow. How ironic it's muck and mire, dire straits. I'm stuck here. Hope one day I'll get higher. Get to see light when I spark up these lighters. But this desire can't fall off the throne into a bottomless hole. But standing on the edge, trying to let this pain go, pain go, pain go. Before I fall, I'm trying to release the load. It's too heavy, got me moving slow. I was never ready, but was born ready for the weight of the load. I'm standing on the edge, trying to let this pain go, pain go, pain go. Before I fall, trying to release the load. It's too heavy, got me moving slow. I was never ready, but was born ready for the weight of the load.